We're gonna bring in our buddy, the coach. Can we bring in the coach? Let's bring in the coach.
Where he has championed abortion rights, gun control, and other progressive Minnesota. We come from nowhere. He was a 6-term congressman and now is governor of Minnesota, where he has championed abortion rights, gun control, and other progressive ideas. But it was calling former President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance weird that may have landed him on the ticket.
The story will continue in a moment.
Been some disagreements you've had since you became a team.
Well, she probably just...
Listen to this.
What have been some disagreements you've had since you became a team?
Well, she probably disagreed with, you said, Tim, you need to be a little more careful on how you say things, whatever it might be.
Whatever it might be, Walz has been criticized for embellishing or telling outright falsehoods about his military record and about his travels to Asia in the 1980s. In your debate with and about his travels to or telling outright falsehoods about.
Yeah, he wasn't getting that. Now, let me stop. We appreciate anybody who served, and there has to be a certain level of respect. But the reason why I feel like jokes have been made on him is obviously because he lied, and this is what they're talking about. Him, all these lies and these fabrications that he made up, and that's why he's being targeted.
About his military record and about his travels to Asia in the 1980s. In your debate with J.D. Vance, you said, I'm a knucklehead at times. And I think you were referring to the time that you said that you were in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square unrest when you were not.
Yeah.
Is that kind of misrepresentation, isn't that more than just being a knucklehead?
I think folks know who I am, and I think they know the difference between someone expressing emotion, telling a story, getting a date wrong by rather than a pathological liar like Donald Trump.
But I think it comes...
Yo, you know what this reminds me of? Yo, you know what this reminds me of? Y'all remember, rest in peace, perhaps my favorite athlete, definitely top 3 of all time, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. Now, there was a situation that Kobe got caught, a young Kobe. He's like a teenager or maybe a little younger. This is when, matter of fact, a little older. I think this is when the situation happened with him in Colorado where the girl was lying on him. And I think it was Colorado. And Kobe, it's reported that Kobe said, like, snitched on Shaq and said, like, oh, well, Shaq told me to do it. Apparently, it wasn't that. Apparently, it was Kobe just saying, one of the police officers at the station, totally off the record, was having a conversation with a young Kobe Bryant. And he was saying, like, yeah, why didn't you just do this? Like, why didn't you? And he was like, man, like, I should have just listened to what Shaq said. Shaq told me to just go about it this way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was a totally off the record conversation that got reported, and it made Kobe look like a snitch. But it was him. We're talking about your situation and you bringing up somebody else. So this is what this just reminded me of. Whenever you get called out for lying, whether you're in a classroom or anything else, and you place fault on your lying with somebody else or saying, like, yeah, I mean, I lied, but it's not like as bad as they lied. That shows a certain that tells you something about somebody, does it? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. For me, it does.
Rather than a pathological liar like Donald Trump.
But I think it comes down to the question of whether you can be trusted to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, I can. I think I can. I will own up to being a knucklehead at times, but the folks closest to me know that I keep my word.
Walz. Well, what about the rest of the American people? Because we don't know. All we know is that we've known you for 2 months and a whole bunch of lies have come out. You lying about, the guns that we held when we were in the military, when apparently you never carried a gun. You're recalling situations in, I believe, was it China they said, or I forget exactly where, about, was it Tiananmen Square? I may be off, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Where he said, I was there and he wasn't there and got called out for not being there. And that's a whole nother, like the fact that you got called out. So that's an interesting thing. So the people that called you out, I wonder exactly who they were, because you just said that you may be a knucklehead at times, but the people closest to you know who you are. But I'm assuming that it had to be somebody close to you, unless they just did some research, unless somebody just found some research. But I'm assuming that it had to be somebody close to you that was one of the people that called you out and saying like, nah, he's lying about that. That didn't happen. He wasn't there that time. So is that a telltale? I don't know. Maybe I'm just hard on him because of my dislike for the Democrats.
Walz proudly touts his record as governor of Minnesota, but it also has opened him up to criticism from his Republican opponents. Former President Trump says that you and your administration here in Minnesota has been dangerously liberal. Radical left, he calls it. So what do you say to that criticism, that rather than leading the way, you in Minnesota are actually out of step with the rest of the country?
President Trump may be referring to that, that our children get breakfast and lunch in school so that they can learn. He may be talking about we have a paid family and medical leave policy that was promoted by the business community. Donald Trump spends his time tearing down states rather than lifting up the things we do.
Or maybe he's talking about you deciding to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. Maybe he's talking about you not having long-term or no term limits on abortion. This is why I told y'all got to go check out that show yesterday. So the yesterday show was a little spicy. So we also talked about that where he got called out. So he went on Fox. I'm almost tempted to show y'all the clip, but he went on Fox and got called out for a lot of this stuff and was trying to, like dip and dodge every single question like you see right here. But and the reason why he was trying to dip and dodge, because a lot of the things that he says, even when it comes to Roe v. Wade, he says that Kamala Harris and him are just trying to bring Roe v. Wade back. But in all actuality, the laws that are currently in his home state, where he's the governor in Minnesota, those laws are a lot more liberal. There's no term limits when a woman can have an abortion. Nothing. So he tries to play a lot of these political games. And I guess all of them do. And, they blame Trump for a lot. And I can't say that. I really can't say that Trump plays the political games like them. I think that's why people like, certain things about Trump. Now, you could say that Trump's lying or he's wrong or he'd be fabricating stuff. You could say all that stuff. You could definitely say that. But as far as playing the political games, I think it's just a little bit different. Now, you may prefer the political games over, Trump saying, fabricating stuff like cats and dogs. I don't know. To each their own. You're going to decide for you. But they are a little bit, they are different. They are different.
The best of it. Donald Trump's critiques of that, not only are they wrong, but I'm waiting for what is his solution. Here in Minnesota, we're so optimistic we walk on water half the year.
Yeah, well, that's not the feelings of the rest of the country. Hold up. Shy, you didn't know about this? Hold on. All right, so I'm going to show y'all the clip. Y'all want me to show y'all the clip? All right, hold on. All right, so I'm going to show y'all that clip from yesterday. And Shy, you didn't know that he was putting tampons in boys' bathrooms? Yo, see, all right, so we got to, I never played it on here, I don't think, because I thought that it was like old news. Hold on. Let me go back. All right, so we're going to, give me a sec. So for iRock, we're going to play this Fox News. Here we go. Tim Walz. Hold on. Let me go to the exact point in time. Hold on. I just want to make sure that I got the exact time. I don't want y'all watching more of this than y'all need to. Hold on. Hold on.
Vice President Harris has been clear about that. I've been clear about it. But the ability to bridges, trying to on Kelly as chief of staff.
Because this came up and what your position
is incapable of dealing
Listen
with.
to this.
Okay. And
it's about character.
Let's focus on what your position is and the vice president's position as well. I want to talk about abortion too, because this came up at the debate. It's been a winning argument for Democrats on many ballots, but I want to clarify what the law is there in Minnesota. Abortion Finder, a website that helps women find access, says abortion is legal throughout pregnancy in Minnesota. There is no ban or limit on abortion in Minnesota based on how far along in a pregnancy you are. You signed the bill that makes it legal through all 9 months. Is that a position you think Democrats should advocate for nationally?
Look, the vice president and I have been clear. The restoration of Roe versus Wade is what we're asking for.
But that
this
law
is a
goes
woman's
far
right
beyond Roe v. Wade.
to make her own. The law is very clear. It does not change that. That was been debunked on every occasion. But
wait,
look, this is a.
But let's
this
agree.
being
What
a
you
win-
signed is there's not a single limit through 9 months of pregnancy. Roe had a trimester framework that did have limits through the pregnancy. The Minnesota law does not have that.
This puts the decision with the woman and her health care providers. The situation.
So let me be clear. For a lot of those that have not looked up Roe v. Wade, I recommend that you look it up. Because when you actually look it up, you'll see that it was actually a trimester structure to it, where in the first trimester, this is what was okay. Second trimester, this is what was okay. Third trimester, this is what was okay. But in Minnesota, it's not a trimester structure. There's no limits. So he's trying to now say that, hey, I'm with Kamala Harris. We've been clear. We just want to bring Roe v. Wade back. Yes, but in your own state, you've gone far more extreme than Roe v. Wade. There's no limits. And listen to how he tries to dodge these questions. And this is what I just don't understand. Bro, if you believe in no limits, then stand on it. Stand on it. I can respect that more than you implementing something in your own state and being celebrated for it in your own state and being proud of it. But then when you get on the national stage trying to back away from it and do the whole word salad and manipulate and play word games just to try to be politically correct and just to try to appeal to whatever audience it is that you're speaking to. Because why? Because they need to their only focus in getting voters in support is to tear down Donald Trump as far as his decision to bring in the judges who overturned Roe v. Wade. But let's look at it from this standpoint. And this is what we always talk about from a balanced standpoint. He went way beyond Roe v. Wade. But listen to how he answers the question. And I'm glad that she holds him through. So look at what this says. Abortion is legal throughout pregnancy in Minnesota. There is no ban or limit on abortion in Minnesota based on how far along in the pregnancy you are. To me, and what he says is, when he says that we leave it in the woman's hands, it's up to what a woman can do with her body. It's not just her body. Why do you think abortions, when a woman has an abortion or when a woman has a miscarriage, it's such a tough thing to deal with? It's so heavy, not even from a physical standpoint. That as well, it could be very dangerous. It could put you in a position where you may not even be able to have kids anymore. But also from a mental standpoint, an emotional standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, it's very heavy on a woman. So and the reason why is because there's another body involved. There's another being involved. How can something have a heartbeat in you and you sit there and say, oh, well, it's just the woman's body. It's her choice to do whatever she's going to do with her body. It's not just about her body. So you can't just give the decision to her. Somebody has to look out for the child as well. So, but let me put that to the side. I can at least have a conversation, or at least I can judge you accordingly to how you really stand if you're clear on it. And I can respect somebody saying, I don't believe in term limits, and this is what we implemented in our state. This is the reason why, and this is what we stand on. And the proof is in what I've already done, my actions. I can respect that more than doing something. It's almost like hiding your hand. You do something, hide your hand. You're just playing games at this point. You're playing games at this point. And even if, because I think this has happened with JD Vance and Trump as well, even if you believe that there should be no limits, and that's why you implemented that in Minnesota, and Kamala Harris, who you're running with, you have to compromise. You're not going to agree on everything, right? even though he was asked, what do y'all disagree on? I guess clearly this is one of them. But if you don't agree with everything, then just come. I have no problem with you coming out and saying, like, listen, y'all see what I did in my state. That's where I stand. However, I also understand that there is a compromise. I'm working with Kamala Harris where I'm not just serving the people of Minnesota. I'm serving the entire United States of America. So therefore, this is what we did in Minnesota, but this is what we are pushing to get back in the state and throughout on a federal level. I would be okay with that. But that's not how he's answering these questions.
Access says abortion is legal throughout pregnancy in Minnesota. There is no ban or limit on abortion in Minnesota based on how far along in a pregnancy you are. You signed the bill that makes it legal through all 9 months. Is that a position you think Democrats should advocate for nationally?
Look, the vice president and I have been clear. The restoration of Roe versus Wade is what we're asking for.
But that
this
law
is a
goes
woman's
far beyond
right
Roe v. Wade.
to make her own choice. The law is very clear. It does not change that. That was been debunked on every occasion.
But
look, this is a.
Let's agree. What you signed is there's not a single limit through 9 months of pregnancy. Roe had a trimester framework that did have limits through the pregnancy. The Minnesota law does not have that.
This puts the decision with the woman and her healthcare providers. The situation we have is when you don't have the ability of healthcare providers to provide that, that's where you end up with a situation like Amanda Zaworski in Texas, where they are afraid to do what's necessary. This doesn't change anything. It puts the decision back on to the woman, to the physicians, and we know that this is simply something to be brought up to be very clear. Donald Trump's asking for a nationwide abortion ban.
Wait,
and again, we don't see this as a winning campaign.
And this is what this is what bothers me. On one end, you hear Democrats and liberals. They will tell you now Donald Trump, they call Donald Trump a liar. They say he exaggerates. They say he fabricates stories. They say all these things, right? Okay, cool. He does that. But you guys take literally, and sometimes you fabricate certain things where he said like there's going to be harsh policing for an hour. And I can show you videos where Abby Phillips, she's saying like he said that they're going to do this for a day. It's like a purge. They're going to have a purge for a day. How did you get tough policing for an hour from a purge for a day? They say Donald Trump said he's going to be a dictator on day one. Or Donald Trump said that, right? He's going to be a dictator. He's going to take over. He's going to destroy democracy. So you take that word for word. But then when he says, I have nothing to do with Project 2025, y'all keep bringing that up. You don't take that word for word. When he says, I do not want a federal ban on abortion, we don't take that word for word. So it's like, it's all just a game based on convenience. Hey, what's convenient for us? Okay, yeah, he said that. We believe him. Let's convince the people that he said that, and let's even take it a step further. We'll exaggerate that a little bit. But on the other stuff, it's like even though he keeps saying I have nothing to do with Project 2025, distancing himself from it, being very clear on it, people will still say it. I do not want a federal abortion ban. I do not want a federal abortion ban. I want to put it in the states. People will still say that he wants a federal ban.
To the physicians, and we know that this is simply something to be brought up to be very clear. Donald Trump's asking for a nationwide abortion ban.
Wait, he
and
has
again,
said that
we don't see this as a winning campaign.
He has said repeatedly that he will not sign a national abortion ban. Are you calling that just, it's a flat out lie?
Yes, of course. And Senator Vance has in the past said so too. Now, look, they may see this as an election issue. We see it as a right of women to make their own bodily.
And this is what I said. And I think regarding J.D. Vance, I believe that he said that he wanted an abortion ban in the past. So if you don't, then instead of saying, oh, no, I never said that. I don't know if J.D. Vance did say that. But if he did lie and say, oh, I never said that, then he needs to be addressed as well. Say that you said it and say, hey, these are my personal opinions. This was my personal opinion. It's changed because of this. Or, hey, I understand that, this is what, the people in my community, that's what we are pushing for, because when I talk to my community, that's more aligned with their values. But now I'm working with on a federal, say the same thing. But all the BS, I don't like it.
Decisions. And that's what the states like my state have the ability to put that in. States like Georgia force women to cross the border, and then we have a death of Amber Thurman. So let's be very clear.
Listen to this.
cut hairs on an issue on this is not where the American public's at. They want the restoration of Roe versus Wade. Vice President Harris said she would sign it. That's what we'll do when we're elected.
But to be clear, the Minnesota law is
women.
far beyond Roe v. Wade. And about the Amber Thurman case in Georgia, her family has, and it's tragic, she is a young mother who left behind a young son. But what her family has said is it was a complication from an abortion pill that she received, and she didn't get proper care when she went to a Georgia hospital, which had multiple opportunities to intervene there. Her own attorney, the family's attorney, says it wasn't the Georgia law, it was the hospitals, what he claims is malpractice, not treating her when she clearly showed up in distress and still had the byproducts of her pregnancy because of that rare complication from the abortion pill. So just to be clear on the Georgia law and how her family and her attorney sees it.
I think they also indicated that had she not go to North Carolina after the debate the other night.
Tim, this is what Kamala told you not to do. Don't be thinking. How do you make a stance and like you're very clear on something, and then I guess when you get fact checked, now you just say, oh well, I think they also said, come on, bro, that you think.
So just to be clear on the Georgia law and how her family and her attorney sees it.
I think they also indicated that had she not go to North Carolina after the debate the other night, that she would have been in a better position. So look, these are the situations you're going to get into when you take this decision and put it in the hands of politicians like Donald Trump rather than women and their doctors. We trust women, we trust doctors, and we know the outcomes of that are better.
Okay, let's clarify.
Trust all women. We trust women. This is what I said, and I said this last night. You trust women. You trust all women. Ladies, do y'all trust the younger version of yourselves? Do you trust the 18-year-old version of you to make responsible decisions? I do not trust the 18-year-old version. I don't trust sometimes the 25-year-old version of me or the 30-year-old version of me to make certain decisions. But it's trust all women. It's just something that people say to appeal to people. It's like what trust all men, or we believe in all men, or we like what? I don't trust all men to make the best decisions for men. Like you can have conversations around it, but I don't know. It is what it is. So we had a lot for y'all today. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.